When Adventure Time first started, it seemed as if there was something going on with Princess Bubblegum and Finn, but we all know the show didn't shake out that way. For ages, many fans held out hope that Bubblegum's relationship with Marceline would be confirmed in the show, and it finally was in the season finale. Before we begin, subscribe to CBR and ring that bell to join our notification squad so you never miss a video. Without further ado, here's the evolution of Princess Bubblegum and Marceline's relationship.
You don't like that? Or do you just not like me?
Adventure Time is one of those great shows whose characters evolve over the course of the series. According to executive producer Adam Muto, the relationship between Princess Bubblegum and Marceline the Vampire Queen wasn't planned out from the beginning. In fact, when the show first started out, the two were meant to be nothing more than friendly rivals to one another. As with any popular show, there are people who want certain characters to get together. Over the course of Adventure Time, many fans began to ship a romantic relationship between Marceline and Princess Bubblegum. If you're a fan of the show Steven Universe, you might be familiar with the work of writer and storyboarder Rebecca Sugar. She's the one who saw the potential of a relationship between the two characters and pushed for them to build a connection. It turns out that sometimes employees ship characters as well, and that definitely was the case when it came to these two. So let's explore how these characters went from being rivals to being romantic partners. If you know anything about these two Adventure Time characters, then it's easy to see how they could be at odds with one another. On one hand, you have the graceful and sophisticated Princess Bubblegum, scientist, inventor, and ruler of the Candy Kingdom. Then on the other, you have Marceline Abadir, also known as Marceline the Vampire Queen. She's a 1,000-year-old vampire queen who devours the color red and plays an electric bass she fashioned out of an heirloom battle axe. At first glance, these two women couldn't seem to be more different from one another. In the episode Go With Me, Finn is trying to ask Princess Bubblegum to attend couples-only movie night with him, but she claims to be busy. Jake then has the brilliant idea of using Marceline to make Bubblegum jealous so that she'll agree to go on a date with Finn. Princess Bubblegum is less than thrilled to see Marceline, who calls her by her first name, Bonobo, and later by the nickname Bonnie. Unlike other characters, we later hear Bubblegum calling Marceline by the affectionate nickname Marcy. Marceline tries to help Finn woo Bubblegum by wrestling her and sending wolves after her, but shockingly, this doesn't work. Finn ends up asking Marceline to go to the movies, but she claims he doesn't want to go down that road with her and rejects his romantic advances. Although this seemed pretty innocuous, many fans wondered if Marceline rejected Finn because she wasn't interested in men. To further bolster this, Olivia Olson, who voices Marceline, claims she was once told by Adventure Time creator Pendleton Ward that her character and Princess Bubblegum used to date. She revealed this during a question and answer panel, much to the delight of the audience, but since the show was aired in many places where such relationships are illegal, something which was explicitly stated on the show, we suppose if you're truly oblivious to all context, you could think that Princess Bubblegum and Marceline were just really good friends. We began to see evidence that Bubblegum and Marceline were incredibly close at one point, and that the affection between them still existed. In the episode What Was Missing, we learned that Princess Bubblegum treasures a rock t-shirt which was once given to her by Marceline. Although it's a huge departure from her usual style, Bubblegum treasures it. She even goes as far as to sleep with it and smell it when she wakes up, which is definitely not something friends do with each other's clothing. Sure, friends might share each other's clothes, but sniffing them is something else entirely. Although the pair argue in the same episode, it's clear that although they're no longer together, they still have feelings for each other. During the episode, Marceline even sings a song to Princess Bubblegum, which gives a ton of clues about their relationship. The song was written by Rebecca Sugar, the creator of Steven Universe, and it's called I'm Just Your Problem. Sugar wrote the song after suffering a breakup herself, and you can really tell when you hear the lyrics. In the song, Marceline threatens to drink the red from Bubblegum's pretty pink face, which Bubblegum calls distasteful. Marceline questions if she really has a problem with the lyrics or with Marceline herself. In the song, she sarcastically apologizes for not treating Bubblegum like a perfect goddess and asks if that's what she wants. Although the song starts out accusatory, it quickly gets sad with Marceline questioning if Bubblegum avoids her because she isn't sweet enough and if she looks at her as an inconvenience. Marceline apologizes for existing and claims not to know what she did to end up on Bubblegum's blacklist. This song makes it clear that Marceline at least wasn't happy about the way things ended between these two. We see more evidence of a prior relationship in the episode Sky Witch, when we learned that Bubblegum keeps a photo of herself and Marceline hanging up in her closet. When Marceline asks for her help reclaiming her toy, Hambo, Bubblegum is able to barter for Hambo by offering Maja the Sky Witch Marceline's old t-shirt. Because the shirt was so treasured by Bubblegum, Maja accepts, and Hambo is returned to Marceline. For some reason, Bubblegum keeps the trade a secret when she gives Marceline back her toy. Although Bubblegum is the more buttoned up of the two, Marceline admits in Broke His Crown that Bubblegum knows how to push her buttons. The two have dinner with the Ice King, who assumes the two women are on a date with one another. Although Princess Bubblegum insists it isn't a date, it sure seems like one. Later on, Simon asks if Marceline has a boyfriend, which she laughs off. During Varmints, we learn some more about what broke up Princess Bubblegum and Marceline, and it wasn't a lack of feelings for one another. At the time, Princess Bubblegum had been exiled from the Candy Kingdom, which was now under the control of the King of Ooh. Marceline eventually finds Princess Bubblegum trying to make do on a farm, where she's attempting to find the Varmints, which are destroying her crops. The two end up chasing them down into rock candy mines, where it's revealed that they used to spend time down there together in the past. Marceline asks if ruling Candy Kingdom is why Princess Bubblegum stopped talking to her, and sounds hurt that the relationship ended. Bubblegum explains that overseeing Candy Kingdom took up so much of her time and energy, she simply couldn't find time for anything else. The episode ends with the two women sitting side by side as Bubblegum falls asleep on Marceline's shoulder. We've learned over the course of Adventure Time that both Marceline and Princess Bubblegum are incredibly old. They're both over 1,000 years old and don't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. But during the Stakes miniseries, Marceline is given the opportunity to become mortal. When Bubblegum points out that she'll eventually die, Marceline quips that this will be her last adventure. Bubblegum says she believes Marceline is making the right choice, and that her life will be both richer and fuller than she can imagine. She also adds, "And someday, when you die, I'll be the one who puts you in the ground." Now, this sounds rather macabre if you take it out of context, but between these two unimaginably old beings, we know that Bubblegum is really saying that nothing can stop the bond which exists between them. In the episode Checkmate, we see everyone getting ready for the arrival of the Vampire King. The women are doing batjacks while Marceline talks about a dream she had in which Marceline had aged, while Bubblegum retained her youth. Suddenly, Marceline announces she feels a strange feeling in her stomach. Bubblegum asks if she's afraid of the impending visit from the Vampire King, but Marceline says this isn't it. She wonders if the feeling in her stomach is love rather than fear. Before long, Jake arrives with some food, and Marceline declares that she was simply feeling hungry. While they eat, both Jake and Marceline proclaim their love for Bonobo. Now, by itself, this scene could have been seen as simply a joke, but when we consider the history between Marceline and Bubblegum, it seems like much more than that. At the end of the episode, the essence of the Vampire King spreads out over Candy Kingdom, and the cast is eager to stop it. We see the conclusion to this situation in the following episode, The Dark Cloud. After first refusing to fight, Marceline flies into the cloud and absorbs it into her own body. This saves the day, but means she's a vampire once more. Finn asks her how she feels about this, and Marceline replies that she's happy to have spent some time as a mortal. She's fine with being a vampire once more, but feels she gained maturity and empathy from her time as a human. Since the relationship between Bubblegum and Marceline ended, it seems they've both done a great deal of growing up. Bubblegum learned how to manage her kingdom, and Marceline obtained a greater sense of understanding. Marceline thanks Bubblegum for her part in her newfound maturity, and adds that now the two can hang out with each other forever. This declaration causes Princess Bubblegum to blush. Next, we have the episode that caused Bubbline fans everywhere to shriek with glee. Come Along With Me was the series finale of Adventure Time, which takes place in the future long after the Gum War has ended. BMO is telling two friends named Beth and Shermie about the harrowing events of the Gum War, and saying it's dramatic is an understatement. Princess Bubblegum is preparing for an all-out battle, but Finn begs her to capitulate instead. As things get ugly, Flame Princess ends up incapacitated by a mutated Gumball Guardian. Marceline attacks it and subsequently releases her vampire essence to turn into a more horrifying and powerful form. Thankfully, this works, and Marceline and Princess Bubblegum celebrate by embracing one another. Marceline confesses that she never again wants to be separated from Princess Bubblegum, and the two women finally share a kiss. If you were too busy screaming with excitement at that part, we'll fill you in on what happens at the end of the episode. Later on, we see Princess Bubblegum and Marceline cuddling up next to one another on the couch, appearing to be a happy couple. So often, shows shy away from portraying LGBT romances on screen. Even if everything possible points to a relationship, things are kept ambiguous in order to give the studio plausible deniability. It's something we're sadly used to, so needless to say, having Princess Bubblegum and Marceline actually share a kiss was tremendously exciting. Another famous same-sex pairing was Korra and Asami from The Legend of of Korra. Fans were absolutely convinced about the romantic attraction between the two and couldn't wait for it to be officially confirmed. But when it came time to show a physical connection between the two, the studio shied away from making a commitment. The two characters ended up simply holding hands with one another, in a move which greatly disappointed much of the fan base. In an interview with Adventure Time executive producer Adam Muto, he claimed that the decision to have the characters kiss was left up to storyboard artist Hannah K. Nistronte. She was in charge of the scene and was allowed to decide how it all went down. When the outline was submitted, all it said was that Princess Bubblegum and Marceline would have a moment. It was left up to her interpretation, and Nistronte didn't let fans down. When she created the storyboard containing the epic kiss, she wrote "Come on" in the margins. Muto says that the goal was to clarify the relationship between the two characters without mapping out their entire future. For observant fans who have been keeping track of Marceline and Bubblegum, this definitely seemed like enough of a conclusion. We can definitely understand wanting more of this adorable couple, but we think that things were wrapped up rather nicely. Given all that's happened in the show, you can probably imagine what the relationship between Marceline and Princess Bubblegum was like. People working on Adventure Time were excited about the scene, but also apprehensive about how fans would react. Confirming the two characters as a couple was a big step, which was guaranteed to get a lot of attention. But what kind of attention would it get, and would it take away from the rest of the show? They wanted to strike a balance between providing a satisfying ending and providing a distracting one, and we think they nailed it. Alex Muto credits Steven Universe with paving the way for LGBT romances in shows aimed at children. We hope that, eventually, such pairings will simply be celebrated parts of television and won't be treated any differently than heterosexual romances.
I'm sorry, Marceline. I've been a real dinger to you.
And there you have it. What did you think of the Adventure Time finale? Were you psyched to see Princess Bubblegum and Marceline finally get together? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more videos just like this one. Thanks for watching.